Rise and shine with Global Entertainment News Morning Buzz. I am your host, Bella, ready to kickstart your day with all the fresh news and stories. And right here with me, bring his own spark to the studio is.
Steven.
Let's dive into today's fresh headlines from Vanguard and The Guardian. Top story from the Vanguard. 503 households affected as death toll from Niger flood hit 200. The death toll in the flood that ravaged Mokwa local government area of Niger State has increased to 200. According to the BBC, no fewer than 500 people are still missing, with rescue efforts drilling as authorities fear there may no longer be any survivor. One of the survivors, identified as Adamu Yusuf, recounted how he lost his wife and newborn baby to the flood. The flood has submerged Yusuf's house, separating him from his family. After he had instructed them to firmly hold on to one another, he says, "My wife was the one that woke me up when the flood hit, and I quickly gathered the family and told everyone to hold on one another. As we stepped outside, we saw water everywhere in our living room and the compound. They panicked and we got disconnected."
I think this is actually a very, very sad one, I tell you. Issue of flood is not something that we wake up and pray for, and it's not something, it's something that happens suddenly and you never account for it. And so many panics can come and lead to anything. The issue of Yusuf losing his family, I know there are so many families that actually lost um, their
Their
relative in
family.
that flood. And this is something the government should have made provision for, made drainages for, because we know we are going into the rainy season already. I don't know why in this country, Nigeria, every time, every year, it happens every year consecutively. We must hear cases of flood, we must hear cases of house being swept off, family being destroyed, so many houses being destroyed. About when it comes to floods like this, every year, every year, we keep hearing cases like this, and our governments are still adamant to have known the best thing for them to do to prevent things like this.
Exactly. It feels like if there, I don't think that the Niger was actually that close to a riverbank that I'm going to be suspecting that this could have been a case of flooding. But it can feels like this can be a case of not well cleaned drainage and all that, or a well provided drainage that can actually lead this water to a dam instead of flooding the house, and then 200 people losing their life and 503 people missing, and they are not sure if they will survive a survivor or not. And that is a sad one for us to keep hearing a news like this in Nigeria. Well, let's move on. Children with autism, rejection cost of therapy weighs parents down. The need to give special attention, creative vocational opportunity, and show more affection and understanding, as well as public acceptability of autistic children, was the center of discussion at the maiden edition of the Autism Awareness Campaign organized by Farida Saint and Stefan FSS Foundation. Children on the spectrum or autism children displays Preservis development disorder PDD, Preservis development disorder not otherwise specified, Asperger's syndrome, as well as high functioning autism. Children on the spectrum exhibited different behavioral patterns, classic autism or autistic disorder. In the most several of the autism spectrum disorder, for parents warrior living with children within spectrum, the narrative could be interesting, intriguing, and even more challenging to determine whether or not a child has come down with autism or related autism spectrum disorder or another developmental condition. It is important to look carefully at the way your child socialize and communicate and behave. I think this is actually a very how will I put it, a very way that most parents have to go into a good scanning whenever they are in this kind of a position to check if the child's brain. Who was the? It was Bobby that actually come out to when he says that his child was actually breaking TV. That is not the first TV and all that. And when he makes that, the people were actually trying to attach it to something else. It's not bad. Some children actually grow out of it when it comes to this kind of a condition, while some till they get to adulthood, they're still going to behave the way. So and the therapy as well is quite expensive for those are the, let me say, the middle age or the middle people that can't even afford therapy, and then they feels like their child is just acting out or they're just being children, and then you wouldn't know that your child is dealing with this kind of a condition that needed is a special care for them. And then I feels like this thing is it's kind of to be a widely conversation among parents, not just those that are of high class that needed to be aware of this. Even those that can't even, they should be aware of it, that there is something like this out there for them to know. Because right now you can see children there, they just misbehave out, and then you feel like leave them alone, they are just being children, without you the parents knowing that they have this kind of a spectrum and condition living within them. Well, I feels like more parents should be aware of this. Well, let's move on. Delta. Security agents open fire on resident protesting careless kidnapping, ceaseless kidnapping. Security agents allege open fire on armed resident protesting the never-ending kidnapping in Abraka community, Ethiopia East Local Government Area, Delta State yesterday. Vanguard learned that nobody was shot dead, but a protester sustained an injury on his face with blood spurting. The protesters ran for safety as shoots rented the air, with security agents advancing further to take over the protest venue. The police public relations officer in the state, Bright Edafe, who confirmed that the commissioner of police in the state, Olufemi Abaniwada, had directed the area commander to handle the situation, stated that the area commander had dealt with the matter and the protesters has this had. It was later that we heard that somebody was shot, and until this moment, nobody has been able to take the divisional police officer DPO to the person they claim was shot so that we can see the person, he says. Responding to the reporter who interjects that eyewitness says one person was shot and injured, the PPRO says if they say somebody was shot, they should be able to give us a name and location.
Well, till now in this country, I don't think we should still be emphasizing on protests being attacked, because I think one of our freedom as a citizen in this country is the right to protest on issues that are not accepted by the masses. Because cases like this, I don't know why the police would attack a peaceful protest, because with the information heard earlier, it was said to be a peaceful protest, but it was interrupted by the Nigerian police. So cases like this, for a police officer to start shooting, even shooting on the air to disturb a protest is actually very, very wrong to
Very,
me.
very wrong.
It's very, very wrong. Now that the masses are complaining about one person being shot dead, the police are claiming that there was nobody shot dead. I
Because
think
nobody was provided.
I think this is something they really need to investigate on to know what really happened in that scenario.
Well, I feels like this thing has been happening in Nigeria, while most people that have the mind to actually come out to protest for some certain things were scared of our life, because we feels like even if we step out of protesting for the right thing, our security personnel are going to turn against us while shooting at us, and it's really, really bad when a peaceful protest is going on. It's none of the security personnel to open fire, even in being on the air or on anyone. It's supposed to be a supportive protest, not against ourselves. Well, let's move on. SSCE stakeholder disagree with WAEC NECO on use of CBT. The pronouncement by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, that the conduct of the senior secondary school examination by the West African Examination Council, WAEC, and the National Examination Council, NECO, will now be computer-based as from next year, may have to be reviewed, going by opinion by critical stakeholders regarding the readiness of the country for such an exit. While the leadership of WAEC and NECO claim their agency are ready to take on the new challenge, the availability of the necessary facility in the country could pose a significant hindrance to achieving it. Well, I feels like this is what I was talking about yesterday when I said that Nigeria needed to cut down on exam. It's becoming too much when you are in every term there's going to be an exam, the one for first term, second term, third term before you can even be able to pass into another class. And here we are talking about NECO, WAEC, NAPTEP, and even GCE, and a lot and lot more of it, even when you are still in the university. I think it's high time we Nigeria take on the new dimension of education in Nigeria and then put down the old dimension of writing exam over and over again. And then some people are still going to be writing this WAEC and then they don't make the paper. They still have to sit. Next year, they still have to sit, coming year and over again, and which is not